Hello and welcome to O-Levels Biology Lessons by Dr. Sabha. Today we are going to discuss the topic Diffusion, Osmosis, Active Transport, multiple choice questions. One by one, we need to concentrate on each of it. So here we can see question number one says that which of the process can only occur through the process through the membrane? The most important one word over here is only, where we need to concentrate. If we observe the example of diffusion, for example, we consider a red blood cell. A red blood cell is a membrane-bound structure and allow the gases like oxygen and carbon dioxide to move in and out by the process of diffusion. This example illustrates that diffusion occurs through the membrane. But here in nature, there are other examples. For example, if we have a beaker that contains water and we add a colored dye in it, a color dye in it. Over a period of time, we will observe the water color changes. Both water and color are non-living material. And the color diffuses into this water. This is an example that diffusion is occurring without the membrane. In this case, membrane is not needed. Here, membrane is needed. So if we consider that diffusion is one of the processes that may not occur without membrane, while the other two processes definitely require membrane. For example, if we have a beaker that contains water, and on one side we have the tap water, and on the other side we have the 10% of the salt solution. The two solutions can only be separated with the membrane, otherwise they will mix together. In this case, the water will move from high water potential to an area of low water potential. Low water potential. In case, if we consider the example of active transport, for example, if we have this root hair cell, right? And there are, for example, there are 5 parts per million magnesium ion in the root hair cell. Parts per million is actually a unit. The soil contains 3 parts per million of magnesium ion. And if we want the magnesium ion to move from low concentration to higher concentration, the ions are pumped across the membrane by the process of active transport. Means membrane is needed. The membrane actively pump the ions across the the ions are pumped actively through the membrane. So it means that diffusion is only the case that may or may not occur without the membrane, right? Let's move to the second question. Second question is not related with the topic. So right now we are skipping it and we are moving toward the third question. In third question, they say that the cell wall of the plant is removed with an enzyme. We always need to consider that what condition is given. We know that a plant cell has a cell wall outside, right? Followed with a cell membrane inside. And cell wall is the one that provided rigidity and prevented from bursting out. So if we apply certain enzyme to remove the membrane, the cell wall, so the cell will only be covered with cell membrane. This is the condition given to us. We always need to consider that what condition is given, right? After that we can modify it. So here we are going to, let me change the color. Okay, just a second. So here we can see now the cell is covered with the membrane only. Now if we dip this cell in water, so and it is actually the distilled water. Distilled water always have high water potential, right? So the water will start to move from an area of high water potential to an area of low water potential. The question is why cell has low water potential? Okay. Why cell has low water potential? The answer is the cell have minerals inside, the cell have proteins inside, the cells have different amount of solute inside. So it actually, these all solute contribute to decrease the water potential. Now what will happen? The cell, if the water will keep on entering in the cell, obviously there's a limit of expansion, and after that the cell will burst out. It will burst, right? So this is the correct answer. Now the next one is they're asking that sorry, they're asking that which process is actually responsible for uptake of ions from the root hair cell. Uptake of ions from the plant and uptake of glucose in the villi. Here we need to consider some situation. We need to be very clear on this. For example, if we consider a villi, the intestine has numerously folded structure villi. So if there are plentiful of the nutrients present, the nutrient will be absorbed by diffusion. If a person is starving or fasting and there are less ions, so the ions will still be taken up, but now they will be taken up by active transport, right? In previous example, I explained the root hair cell were actively taking up ions. And in other case, the root hair cell, if there are more amount of ions, magnesium ion in the soil and less ions in the root hair cell, so ions will be taken up by the process of diffusion, right? So it means that if we consider this question here, we can find that this is the only possible option. The ions are taken up by the villi and the nutrients are taken up by the root, by mm, uh, the ions are taken up by the plant, or the glucose is taken up by the villi. Only the option is active transport here. If it would be diffusion in both options, then that could also be possible. But here, in the given circumstances, this is the only right option. Now, let's consider the next question. Here, we can see, here, basically, they have given us three different cells, right? And they are asking us um, that which of the cell is going to have which of the cell is going to have the highest water potential and the lowest water potential. The diagram shows three plant cells, and they are asking which arrows show the direction of the arrows are actually showing the direction of water. We know one rule: water always travel from an area of high water potential to an area of low water potential. If we follow the pathway, we can see we can see we can see the water is moving from cell P to R or Q to R. It means that cell Q has the highest water potential and cell R has the lowest water potential. That's why uh, highest water potential, and this cell tend to have the lowest water potential. That's why the water is moving in this cell. And obviously this water is crossing through the cell P, so it means that this cell is going to have the moderate water potential. So thank you for your valuable time, and we will discuss the remaining question in the upcoming video lesson. Thank you.